Well, good afternoon, all you fans of the show, Winning Way Show, and welcome to another afternoon special. Let me get my notes here because we've got lots to talk about. We're going to be chatting to Budgie Byrne, as you know, about soccer. But let's talk about international racing first. And the big news off the press is that Julie Crone, who is famous for not only being a champion rider, but she rode Candy Ride to one of the great races, the Pacific Classic down at Del Mar, where she beat Madaglia Dora. And she is a top rider, but she's been out of racing for quite some time. Now, the interesting thing is she also won the Breeders' Cup that year, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile with... and she's just a top race woman, and I thought the best woman rider that ever lived. She has decided to go on as a jockey's agent for Ferris Peterson, who's 28 years old. She's a young lady who is most interesting because she's got a doctor's degree in veterinary medicine. She's the National Division 1 pole vaulting champion, and she's a veterinary acupuncturist. So Julie Crone has decided to pick this girl up and make her into a jockey. But she's been riding at Del Mar with quite some success. And what's interesting is that she's got an equestrian background, having ridden a lot of dressage in that. Now, I think there's unbelievable news because Julie Crone is a big plus to have in your camp. As a jockey's agent, no one wouldn't want her. And she starts at Monmouth Park, which hopefully will pick up some of the racing in South Africa for in the near future. And this will be well worth keeping an eye on. Ferris Peterson is her name. She's 28, as I say, and it will be very interesting to see how Julie guides her career. There are a couple of interesting notes here. The Lasix debate was very interesting. Kentucky Horsemen's Benevolent have decided to take Churchill to court, and all those clubs that don't want to race with Lasix and 2-year-olds and want to phase out Lasix. And Lasix is a very interesting debate because there's very big pros and cons against it. It certainly helps horses breathe and race better, and allows them to lose a bit of weight going into the race so that they are able to carry less weight on the race course, which probably improves their performance and probably is a performance enhancer. But on the other side, does it not help horses enjoy their racing more? Now, I just recount my experience going to a place called Mountaineer Park, which is a very outback race course, not big stakes in that. And I saw 9, 10, and 11-year-olds that had 100 runs on Lasix and Butte, and they were happy as sandbars. They really enjoyed themselves. So, David, nice having you with us. The first time I think we've ever had a trainer. And there we are, Joe D'Amato. Well, he knows Monmouth Park, and Joe's been to probably every race course in the world. David, enjoy the show, and certainly if there are any questions I can answer, I certainly will. Talking South African racing, the big news is being part of the media now. I get a lot of the media posts, and Charles Pretorius has posted a notice to the racing media about forming a racing media association. It's a very interesting read and certainly worth getting a hold of if you can, and you're part of the media, and you can certainly post Charles at Turf Talk for a copy of what he proposes to do and what he thinks should be done. I am 100% behind it. I will give them all the support that I possibly can. Hello, Vivek. Nice to have you there. And I think it's a really great initiative. And the way he lays it out is fantastic, because he says they've got to become autonomous in media. They've got to be able to write interesting things that might not be liked by some of the corporations that run racing. And I think that's most important. And really, I'm, as I say, a big supporter. The other big news as far as South African racing is concerned is that Vaquera. Now, if those of you don't know who Vaquera is, he's a horse called Shafano in Hong Kong. Hong Kong raced today, and Shafano ran in his first Group 1, which was Chairman's Cup over 2,400 meters. Very big stake, very important race. and it was his first step up in class. His last start, he won a Group 3, first try over 2,400 meters. Now, here's a Silvano Gelding, okay, was bred by Main Chance and Michael Roberts. That is really on the ascendancy in Hong Kong. And I'll tell you why he's on the ascendancy, because he ran second today. And he ran second to a horse called Exultant. Exultant, we all know, is probably the best mile and a quarter horse, mile and a half horse in Hong Kong. He's a champion, and he really is some type of horse. This horse only got beaten a length, Chafano, and he's trained by John Moore and was ridden by Matthew Chadwick. It was bred by Main Chance Farms and Mace Roberts. They bred it together because Mace actually owned the mother. Valdivino was her name. She's an Al Mufti mare who I think Mace raced with quite some success. So that is a really, really interesting news. Coming back from Hong Kong, obviously Hong Kong this morning was a big start. Robbie Sage trained him. You're 100% right, Vivek. Here's a man who knows about his racing. Coming back to Hong Kong, well, Tony Millard trained 2 winners, but Moore and Moreira and Purton each had 4. So they're sitting level on the standings. It's a dogfight between these two, and very interesting racing. Very good racing this morning, I must say. I really enjoyed watching it. It was great, a great stream, and really professionally done. And really, I honestly believe South African racing needs to get itself on that type of footing with the information that's available, because the information is fantastic. I just want to show you my shirt, because today I wore a T-shirt, one team, Springboks, that's me. We're dying to get back into doing some type of sport as soon as it is possible to do that. What other news? Canadian Horse of the Year was Starship Jubilee. She's a filly, and they had a virtual presentation and event, which seems to be the norm today, to have a virtual events as far as these type of events are called, presentations and whatever they do. And the Canadians had their Horse of the Year, Starship Jubilee. I can tell you she's a pretty damn good filly. She's won a couple of Group 1s this season, and she really can run. Talking about events that they have, the Hall of Fame inductees, you know, every year the Americans have the Hall of Fame where they induct a few people into the Hall of Fame, and they've decided that they're actually going to postpone it till 2021, because they believe that 2021 is better than trying to put on a virtual one, and they think they'll be able to have a live presentation. And it's very important. Hall of Fame is vitally important, and we really do need to head in that direction in order to build South African racing up to where we want to have it eventually. And that will be with Hall of Famers and all types of things that really invest in our champions. And just talking about that, you know, the July, I've been chatting to various people on the July and this and that and the other. I honestly believe the one thing that the July committee should do is they should invite past winners, whether they be trainers or jockeys. They should be invited to the July on Gold Circle and have a good weekend with them and be interviewed, and you can chat to them about their experiences. It's a way of giving back a bit to the July, and certainly might really be well worth chatting and thinking about it. Are there any questions out there? Anyone want to ask me anything about what's going on in the racing world? Well, if there's nothing out there, I can tell you that tonight will probably allow us to go down to level 3, and certainly that should allow horse racing to start. Joe de Matos, South African Hall of Fame can start in 2031 once you're rid of the Hall of Shame. You're a bit, Joe. I mean, you really are. You're a racing fan. You do a lot for racing, but you got the sharpest bit of, you know, you are really the sharpest knife in the whole drawer. It's unbelievable. Having a guy like you around makes life very interesting, because you say what you think, which is always important. You're a great supporter, and your international racing club, well, I hope you guys are going okay while we're having this type of problem. It can't be easy trying to keep a lot of horses in training. I know I have a couple that's impossible. But We got to work through it, and we got to have hope. And the Chafano story gives us real hope as far as South African breeding is concerned. If Toddy and his team can get this together, we're going to find a lot of things that will help South African racing. Quite interesting feedback from the David Safi story. A couple of real vitriolic people out there not very happy about this. And Joe offered Michelle Merrick. Well, here's our guest, Budgie. Budge, how are you?
Yeah, no complaints.
Good. I've got you loud and clear. Is everyone here, Budgie, loud and clear? Budgie, are you still there?
Fire, James, I can hear you.
You can hear me. I hope everyone can hear you. That's the whole point. I've got you on speakerphone.
Yeah, well, I'm phoning from my landline, so it's a little bit clearer than usual cell phone.
Well, that should be perfect. Let's chat about Budgie, okay? Because you're a footballer, okay, through and through. Yeah. How did you start? Where was your beginning? Where are you from? Give us a bit of background.
Well, we came out here in 1969. My dad came to play for Addington, which became Durban Spurs. My brother and I, Ian, and we did our schooling in Durban, and we just carried on playing through all the juniors, and we went to reserve teams, and then carried on, played in a lot of the main Stella Juventuses before going on to Durban City. In the late 80s, there was no money to be made in football in our time, so had to get a job. Back I came, did coaching, and that proved okay. But on an amateur level, it was fine. But obviously, never got the chance on the pro level. There wasn't much money at that stage, so had to go into my little business. So from there, obviously, I love my punting. I've had horses for years, but I've become a little bit disinterested in horses. And once the soccer pools came out, I think it was in 2006, I think it was. I've mainly done football betting then.
Yeah, okay, let's just go back to, was your dad happy that you became a footballer and obviously gave you some coaching?
Yeah, it was just one of those progressive things. There was no real money when we played. We worked to play. It wasn't like we were full-time like today. Good luck to the guys that are playing today, making a lot of money. But in our days, we had to work. It was just how it was. We trained 3 times a week. We were basically part-timers, the English term.
So you would have come across Lafferty in your early days of playing football.
Yeah, I met Paul. Obviously, I played against him in the amateur ranks, but we joined City. He was there in 82, 83. I joined halfway through 1983, and obviously got to know Paul, had horses with him, and so on and so on. Our friendship's grown a lot since then,
It's grown a lot. I mean, I wouldn't like to run up against Paul as a defender. He was a pretty solid, midfield attacker.
He was a midfield player. Never came back too often. He's a lot more skillful than people gave him credit for, especially with the size. That big boy, and he got 2 PSL League winners medals, so you can't argue with him.
Was that for Durban City?
That's for Durban City, yeah.
Dave Durant didn't he play in the front for you guys?
Yeah, I played with Dave 1976. I never played under 16. Dave was ex-Durban City player. He took me to Maritzburg. I was in the reserve team, and Dave was on the fringe of the first team when he had Bobby Chalmers up against him. And I played quite a lot with Dave in the reserve team. That was, but 1977, the old NFL league, dismantled, and then there was a various, it all went multiracial. And a lot of the guys just went back to amateur. Dave went to Manning Rangers in 1978. And I think like a lot of guys in that era, there was no real money, so they concentrated on business.
And guys like the boys that we knew from racing, Hilton Granger, I think he played at the back for Rangers.
They were in like the late 60s, early 70s. And we were ball boys under 10, under 12. I think he played for Berea Park, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So
it was a different time. Everyone played on a Sunday in Durban. It was good fun, but there was no real money. The only person that made money was Norman Elliott.
The Silver Fox.
The Silver Fox, yeah.
You got some funny, great stories with him. Tell us a few of them.
The sad thing about Norman was, originally when he started in 1959, a lot of the players, he was like the main man, and they like us, they never made any money, and Norman made all the money. And whatever Norman said went. And Norman would buy and sell players, and that was how we did. He traded, and the one instance we were playing Kaiser Chiefs on the Sunday on the main. It was the second year we won the league, 83. And Norman came in with his Sugar Ray Leonard cap on. He said, boys, all the money you've made me, I've gone to see Sugar Ray Leonard fight Roberto Duran. You know, so you could imagine how everyone felt. You know, the Kaiser Chiefs to win the league on the Sunday, and Norman's been bragging about going to Las Vegas. I think the fight was to watch Sugar Ray Leonard against Roberto Duran. But you know, Norman was a strange guy. The older he got, the softer he got, and the more helpful he got. But from all the guys, like a very good friend of mine, the late Alan Varner, and he wasn't really too happy with Norman. Obviously, he bought and sold the guys. You know, they all thought he was ruthless. And those days, you know, the Sharks were a decent rugby team. So Norman, Durban City was a blue-eyed team, and he had all the glory, yeah.
So soccer is your life, Budge. You're a guy who is steeped in soccer, and you know, it just is a natural progression that you should be able to help people win money, because today's soccer is about betting more as much as supporting the team. People love betting on soccer.
Yeah, I think it's with horse racing, James. You know, you can't speak to the horse. At least with soccer, one, you have a look at all the bets. Two, most people watch football. And then at least they know it takes 90 minutes to lose your money, whereas with horse racing, it can take 90 seconds. So, you know, as a punter, you know, a lot more people know a lot more about football than they ever will about horse racing. So that's why the soccer pools have taken off. You know, sadly, I think racing needs a little bit of a change, but, you know, I don't get involved, so all the other guys do it. But there again, in saying that, I think the soccer pools, James, people have got to start looking at that. Because what we've been getting over the last, you know, whatever it is, 18 months, I don't think is good enough as a punter.
How would you change it and move it around to make it better for the punter, Budge? Because you're a guy that's involved on the ground floor.
Yeah, you know, obviously working at Gold Circle, you know, I get access to a few sales, and Dean Moody sent me from August till March. There was a stretch of the turnovers. Now, 96% of the turnover is done in 3 bets. The soccer 6, the soccer 10, and obviously the Swedish soccer 13. There's just too many bets, James. We've had a soccer 1, we've had a soccer 4, we've now got a soccer 13 extra. And there's a new bet come out, the any 15, which has shown signs of, you know, people quite like it. But some of the bets that we've had, whether we had that football, that indoor football, I heard it was a government initiative, but it was an absolute disgrace. You know, the worst bet we ever had was that time bomb where you had to pick a goal between every 3 minutes. Also, when the first goal would be scored, and it was like 3 minutes periods, and you had 5 matches. It was impossible to catch.
What happened to that?
Well, you know, I won't mention the guy's name, but it's a good mate of ours, and he said, "Hey, you can take poison. This will get scrapped. And they'll have one payout. Last one, they'll say end of March, I think it was. Whoever gets within, I think it was like 60,000 rand in the pool. Whoever's closest to the pool wins it. And I think there were like 6 people that were closest, and they split the money. You know, don't know how it worked or whatever, but it was a terrible bet. And to me, James, there's never any discussion about it. I know Gian Nell's my boss at BRT. And he said, what about this bet? I said, Gian, it can't work. And what about this bet? I said, Gian, it can't work. And there's only so much you've got to go around, James. You know, you walk into the race course, say you've got 300 rand. You know, there's only so much money you go around. The same as with the football bets. You know, they've got to streamline it. And that's one. But for me as well, that whoever's putting them together, James, with all due respect, you know, there's got to be a question mark, because some of them are just absolutely pathetic.
And I think you make a fantastic point. The pools that people bet into are the big pools, because people want to have a chance of winning big money. If you're going to have a recreational bet, which most people are, I mean, 95% of people are recreational bettors. They want to be able to bet into to have a chance of winning some decent money. And I'm interested to see, you know, there's some big betting bookmaking businesses, how their figures look, because surely the industry chats to these people and gets an idea of what to do, and it's better than having 30 bets or 40 bets on a day. Have 6, you know.
Yeah, James, that was a question I've asked people, but because Gold Circle haven't got a say, it's just like, hey, listen, just shut up, yeah. And
Why? Just as a question, why haven't Gold Circle got a say? You put on a fantastic show. You guys put on Onside, which is the only betting show on television in South Africa, and it's very well regarded. You and Lath know your stuff, so you know the bets that you give them are fantastic, and it's well documented. It's well organized. It's a good show. Why would no one listen to Gold Circle?
Well, the problem is, if you're in charge, Jay, why must you listen to some guy in Durban who's got an opinion? So these are one or two of the things, and I've mentioned it to other people. I said the R6 bet's got to go. We've got to have fractional betting. This morning I went onto a few websites of big bookmakers, especially with the Soccer 6 and the Soccer 4. You can take a percentage betting, but you can't take that with our totes. Now, it's a massive thing. Everyone cries about the open bet. But, when you look at it from the other side, I'm a punter. I've got 24 Rand. Where can I get the best value for my money? At 6 Rand a line, James, I'm not going to do a Soccer 1, a Soccer 4, or a Soccer 6. The big pools are with the Soccer 10 and 13. The Soccer 10 is 40% of the turnover. So why? And the Soccer 13 averages between 26 and 30. So why not have a dip of those? If I'm a 24 Rand punter, why not have a dip of those? At least I can win 50 to 60 grand, if not more.
Well, it shows you, that South Africa was one of the first to introduce fractional betting on horses. And I must tell you, it's taken a long time, but the rest of the world is starting to catch up and starting to think that this is the way to go. Because you want churn. You want people to put their money, every bet they have, and they win, they put money back in. And you taking your percentage every single time a guy has a bet. So you don't want him to have one bet.
Well, that's it. James, people know more than I do. Other guys have got contacts everywhere. From what I'm led to believe, the takeout on soccer betting is 30%. It goes to the Isle of Man because the maximum you can take out of a pool in South Africa is 25%. So obviously they wanted an extra 5%. So it goes to the Isle of Man. That's all fair and good, but you only get paid out at the following lunchtime. And if there's a game that's being played on Sunday, sometimes it goes the following day. If it's controlled in South Africa, now I don't see why we can't control it. The moment the last game is played, there's a dividend that gets credited into your account. You can collect your money, and away you go. Yeah. And, I've always wondered about that. Other guys have told me that is a situation. But it's if you wanted to reduce it to 25%, you've obviously got to increase your turnover. And one of the ways you can do that is have percentage betting. The only one it won't apply to will be the Swedish Soccer 13. But other than that, James, if you've got R6, then I go to Totes most afternoon for a beer, and I talk to a lot of customers. The reason they do the Soccer 10 is it's more affordable than the Soccer 6.
Yes. Because it's a smaller amount. It's a 2 Rand bet rather than a...
The guy's got 12 Rand or he's got 20 Rand or 24 bucks. I can go 2 by 2 by whatever. But with the Soccer 6, he's got no chance. Yeah. And then you couple that up with teams he's never heard of. They just walk away. They go to the bookies and have a bet. Okay,
so that's very good. Wonderful food for thought. But now let's go on to what's happening now. And what's happening now is that we've just opened up in Germany, and obviously that's fantastic, but we can't watch it here.
Oh, that's the problem, James. I love watching games. Many a time I've come on a Monday and I've taped the game over the weekend, and it's easy to watch the 5-minute highlights. I know there's punters that they're all over and they say, for the highlights. I said, listen, you can't watch 5 minutes and make an opinion. You've really got to watch most of the game. And I love watching games. And, especially being a punter, you've got to try for people. I tip on a few websites and that. So people want value, James. For me to tip Bayern Munich at 1-6, any mud can do that. But, Bayern Munich to score over 3.5 goals at 14-10, okay, I can be interested with that. So, you've got to really analyse the markets, watch football, and then you have more idea. Sorry, James, there was one other thing that I wanted to talk to basically about the pools and all that. And I know it applies a lot to the horse racing as well. All the carryovers. Now, the one day there was, I think, R1 million carryover Soccer 10. Kept asking, when's that Soccer 10 money going to become? No, they're going to split it 40,000 here, 50,000 there. It's just not right. It should be highlighted and say, guys, next Saturday the soccer 10 has a carryover of 1 million, and this is the bumper pool. And it never, the punter as usual gets left in the lurch.
You see,
he's got a thumbs up.
Budgie, we've actually mentioned this before on the show, and my take on it is very simple. Whenever there's a carryover, there should be on the top left hand or right hand or bottom corner, whichever corner you want, a carryover pool, okay, which shows you what carryovers there are, and then there should be a message that comes up which saying we're putting so much into this pool or so much into that pool, so you notify people. Then they know exactly what's going in. To me, it's all got to be audited. This whole thing needs a forensic audit. There is absolute nonsense what's happened in the past of people saying, oh, well, we'll do this, we'll do that, and do the other. They tried to enlarge the pools by making them at month end and giving big carryovers. But was that all the money? And where did the money actually go? And the losing tote tickets as well. I know that the non-claim tote tickets, that's another thing. These things must be properly regulated. And if we were able to go to government on the basis that we're regulating this properly and we're doing this properly and we're prepared to look at social involvement in government things or local municipality things in all your municipalities, and try and start doing things on a similar type basis to Hong Kong with all this extra money, I think we'd get a lot of support.
James, it's just the clarity. One thing you speak, I walked into the third carrier of our gold, we're going to steal the money again. That it comes every time. My belief is if there's a carryover at Kimberley on a Monday, the following Kimberley meeting, the carryover should all go to that particular meeting. Especially if you're a punter at Kimberley. No, we're going to keep it to Joburg on the Saturday. To me, especially with horse racing, with football it's different. And I was looking at the Swedish Soccer 13. They take 8% of every pool. And you know how big their pools are.
Yeah.
To open the pool up next week. Now,
correct.
The pool may be, say, 3 million, so 8% of that is 240,000. The Soccer 13 next week in Sweden has an 8% start.
Correct.
Now, this little things, I didn't know, only just checking up on it now, but it's just a clarity for the punter.
Yes, well, you're 110% right. And there's always been this argument, oh, we want to have maxi pools at the end of the month. You can have maxi pools at the end of the month. Keep some of the money for a maxi pool. But if a man has lost his money at Kimberley last week, why shouldn't he have a chance at a big pool at Kimberley this week? He's a Kimberley punter. Not everyone punts Kimberley, but why shouldn't the Kimberley punters have a go at the money they've lost? And you build customer relationships with that type of thing. You start looking at the business, and people who are your customers start looking at the business and saying, this is what I like. They're thinking about me, the customer. I think there's been sorely lacking.
Well, James, at the end of the day, who's responsible for that? There's one massive bookmaker that's helping Gold Circle now, and I had a problem yesterday. I went online, the guy came back and sorted my problem out in no time. If I'd gone elsewhere, I'll come back to you on Monday. And it's, there's no urgency. I'm a punter, and if I've got a problem, I want you sorting my problem out now.
Correct.
These guys don't care, with all due respect. I'm not saying that they're all like that, but, why do you think people go to the bookmaker with an open bet, James? I can put it on my account, away you go. Don't one come back to me, well, you know what? I'm not affecting the pools. I may as well go ahead and give him my money.
Yeah, there's certainly pluses and minuses about the open bet. The biggest problem is that we want the money to come into our pools so that we can get the share to make racing run. That's what we want, or make anything, whatever run. It's all about betting, Budge. What I do like about you guys is that on-site show is a cracking show. The problem is you seem to go out at all hours of the night, and then you're hoping that people will go online to watch your show. Now, that makes it difficult. And I would really like to see your show go out as a live morning show on a Saturday morning. Would that not be a possibility?
When we first started, James, it used to be it was 10 o'clock on a Thursday night. It used to be 7:30 it was 7 o'clock, I think, on a Friday morning, and 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning. Remember, Terry Payne and those guys had that Soccer Saturday. They used to come on before then.
Yes.
But now with all this international racing, it's, I don't know who bets on it, James. It's just, for me, it's ruined our TV. To me, oversupply of horse racing at the moment. Too many pools, too much horse racing, and I don't even watch it anymore, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, you see, that's interesting. Is another point that we've tried to put over to them. You can always run an international race in the corner of a screen. It doesn't have to have sound. People want to just see the race. They want to see the horse at back. And the pools are so minuscule when you look at them, because where they try and pull the wool over the punter's eyes is that they'll have the pool, which will be the win place and exacta pool from, let's say, an Australian kart race. That's an international pool, okay? And then they'll have, or they used to have, I see they've taken it off since we started mentioning it now, the trifecta and the quartet pool, which is a South African pool. And you're talking about hundreds of rands in each of those pools at the jump, which is an absolute waste of time. Why would you want to inconvenience your South African player or your local man or your man who wants to have a bet, watching a show, listening to some experts, by putting on something that's going to earn you maybe 50 or 100 rand? Surely it's better to try and get the 50 or 100 rand multiple times from someone because you're giving him the right information. It aggravates the hell out of me, I must tell you.
Yeah, well, obviously we've got similar people that we know, but from what I'm led to believe, James, is what kept South African racing alive was the money coming from the overseas who were watching our racing.
Yeah.
Now, if that's what's keeping us alive, then surely what we're giving those customers should be parade ring, seeing them go down.
Should be the best.
The horse going down, going over to Ngong to watch a race from Ngong. Or,
that should be in the corner.
With all due respect to Ngong, but I know with the people that have got the shares, they want turnover up so they get a bigger return. I understand that. But as far as the racing product, it's hopefully whoever takes over, they've got to have a discussion and get people that are passionate and know what they're doing and have high standards, and away we go from there, James. Otherwise, it could go back to square one,
Yeah. Budge, are you looking after yourself during this lockdown? Are you able to get to the office and do a bit of work?
Well, James, the last one standing competition that we run, which you're always in, on I think it was the 11th of March, I went over with Grant Croshaw. I left on the Thursday because Stevie Braham is a big Fulham boy. He'd organised me tickets on the Friday to Fulham Brentford, local derby. As I arrived Friday morning, you know what happened? Your Arsenal manager contacted the virus. The Arsenal game got postponed. And at lunchtime that afternoon, every English Premiership, Championship, League game got postponed. So I was there for a week. I was with our man, Andrew Rydell. Everybody is Tubbs.
Tubbs, our mate Tubbs. What a star,
And I went to see my parents for like 4 or 5 days and ended up coming back early. So I've been at home basically like 70 odd days. But, I do all the soccer previews, even if it's Belarus, whatever, and it's now on the Soccer 6 website in Joburg. So I'm still doing work, James. There's games coming up. I do a magazine and a TV radio show with my man Titch about the Bundesliga. So just to try and give people a little bit of help. Obviously, I can only watch the highlights, which in my opinion doesn't really help. But, you're reading and just trying to help the punters along, James. So, fortunately, I haven't really been going moggy. I went into Graven on Thursday, had to go and see Lath. So, I went there for a cup of tea. But other than that, James, I've been at home every day for one.
Jeez, that's just not easy. It looks like we're going into level 3, which means you'll be able to go back to work, won't it?
Yeah, I think so. James, I don't have to go into work, but I do.
Yeah.
You've seen the screens in our office. I want every punter to get every chance. If there's a game postponed and you're taking a soccer exotic, you're entitled to know about it. So, we put it up on the screens. We do the previews. We're now doing Soccer 6, Soccer 10 pool previews. It goes on the Tab Gold website. Obviously, the totes aren't open, but when they were, everything was coming up. So, just to try and help the punters, James, because without punters, we've got no chance.
Yeah, well, all I can say is you do an absolutely fantastic show. You do a wonderful service for racing. You're one of the real professionals, and this business needs professionals. It needs people that know what's going on. And I know that you study the product. You know exactly what you're talking about. It's great chatting to you about soccer. What do you think? Being a Man United supporter, are you hoping they start, or are you hoping they don't start?
Personally, I hope I don't start, but I just think for...
well, then you can always run. You can be in your normal position, 5th on the table.
Yeah, Well, Man City gets thrown out. United will get the fourth Champions League. I think the United are coming. I just think football needs it, James. Whatever happens, happens. Just looking at the Man United financials, and if United are in trouble, I would hate to see what the rest of them are in. Barcelona can't buy any players. They've got to try and swap players. Because if some of these big clubs are under severe pressure, and the biggest people are going to take the smack of the agents.
Yeah. And what about the players themselves? Are they going to keep getting these exorbitant fees at the top of the...
It's got to come down, James. It has to come down. But you're getting so many people that are there just for the glory. You have a look at the Chelsea. They were the first guy, Abramovich. He was the first guy that really, started overpaying players. And it's just, you have a look, Man City. I think it's the Qatar people. PSG are the guys from, I think Abu Dhabi. So you just have a look who owns all the clubs. They're all big-time businessmen, and it's win at all costs. Yeah. So you've got to overpay. I'm glad Solskjaer has actually gone the right way, which Ferguson did, try and build through the academy. We can't, Man United have the second highest wage bill in sport. Paying your boy from Arsenal, Sanchez, 400,000, Lukaku, 280, 290 per Pogba. Come on.
That's a week, isn't it?
That's a week. And the average man earns £20,000 a year. These guys are on like 10, they can earn more than a week than the average man in the street does in 10 years.
Well, the amazing thing is you got Sanchez there and he warms the bench most of the time.
Well,
if he's there.
Until he got injured. So I think this season coming, James, there's going to be a lot of swap deals. But, a lot of the players are going to suffer big time. Because, none of them deserve that money. The only guys that, I always look at it and say, if I can sell you for 100 million, over 4 years, I'll give you 20 million a month. Sorry, 20 million a year. You average it out that way. That's what you're worth. When you average his wage worth. But some of these guys, Man United had 15 players over £100,000 a week.
15?
Come on, John. There were 15 players. And, I don't mind if, but when you've got Smalling and you've got Jones and you've got, come on. I think Ashley Young was one of them. Come on, James. You've got to give those boys away.
And
listen, good luck to them.
Basically,
the club, bad business.
Basically, the fans are paying for them.
Well, that's right. Man United, I think there were 83 different sponsors. But, so that's why they need Champions League football, James, because the money comes in.
Yeah.
I think it's 75 million a year. Any dads get Man United. Now, if you're not in the Champions League, how bad does that look? And I know there's a clause in the contract where if you don't play Champions League, I think it's 1 year, we'll pay you, I think it's 90%. 2 years, you're only going to get 60. I read that somewhere. So why do you think the Champions League is the be-all and end-all?
Well, the biggest,
United, but, as a fan, I don't want it to happen, but I've just got a funny feeling this league's not going to go, James. There's going to be one or two people, especially the foreigners. Guys, listen, my family, my health, I'd rather give it a miss. And that's all you need. You get 3 or 4 big guys, points per game, give Liverpool the trophy. And my question is...
They won't give Liverpool the trophy, though.
No, they have to, James.
Hey, you've got to be sorry for those Liverpool guys.
His dog was giving me abuse, but they deserve it. But the question is not so much winning the league. I want to see what happens at the bottom. Because the right way to do the points per game is your points per game at home and your points per game away from home. And obviously see how that works out. Now, if it stands at the moment, I think it's Aston Villa, Bournemouth and Norwich that are gone. But if they give you points per game, Aston Villa get out of it and West Ham go down.
And Norwich must get out of it too.
They're gone anyway.
Are they? Because they did pretty well away from home, better than at home. They're useless at home.
Yeah, because Aston Villa got most of their points at home. They've got 6 home games, I think, and 3 and 4 away. So if you average it out, they finish behind West Ham and whoever's 4th bottom. But if they give them points per average at home multiplied by the 6 games, they go above West Ham, and West Ham would go down.
Can
you imagine the scheming there?
What a scheme that will be. Budgie, it's fantastic chatting to you. And your great mate Hilton Witz was meant to be on, but he gave us a miss. He just actually refused to answer me back. But he's always telling me that he wants to come on the show. Any word from him, or no word at all? Is he missing in action?
Yeah, Hilton, strange guy in a way, but I'd love to speak to him and say, what are your facts? And, you know, he's got a lot to offer the game. I've always been one of those people. I want to hear from the complainers.
Me too. That's who I want to chat to. Today was different. I want to hear from them. And I'd love to be able to hear what Hilton's problems are and where he gets the information from and how we can sort it out. Because unless you lay the problems on the table and you get given an opportunity to lay the problems on the table, you're not going to go anywhere. And it's no good just being a keyboy warrior, as what's his name, as the cock calls him, and Joe DeMatta definitely is. He's got more moves on the keyboard, this Joe DeMatta, than anyone I've ever seen. How he gets his fingers across the keyboard is interesting. Hello, Jess. Hiya, Jess.
But for me, that African betting can, initially I went on it, but eventually I just got off it. There were too many people, whether they were drunk or not arguing. But constructive criticism is always good, James. I know I do it in my show. The first one I sent out all over the world. I said, listen, I want you to be critical. You couldn't believe some of the complaints coming back. I don't like the lights. No, it wasn't that good. So, listen, the actual odds, I don't think the purple background suits the odds. What? Okay, so... You know, and people came back and they were constructive, and slowly but surely
you get it right.
Improve. And that's the only way, James. Let's just hope that the ladies from the Oppenheimer clan can sort Pumalele out, get the complete audit done, and then let's see what happens.
Will be good for all of us, Budgie. I really appreciate you coming on a Sunday afternoon, spending your time with us. You're a font of information, a wonderful. Really a credit to soccer and to horse racing, because I know you love them both.
Oh, yeah, no problem, as I say. No problem, James.
Be good, and we'll see you on the other side.
Okay, James. Take care.
Cheers, man.
Thanks.
There you go, Budgie Byrne. Now, for those of you that don't, Alex Budgie Byrne, he is a real thinker in this business. You can hear from what he's said. He's got it all together, and he's one of those guys that he's a Mr. Nice Guy. So very seldom does he push himself around, and I've never seen Budgie push himself around. But if he pushed himself around and tried to make sure some of these ideas that he have were thought about, he really would be a guy that you'd like to have in a position where he can help you. Joe DeMatta, you've always got an answer, Joe. Always got. Is Jess still with you, or has he left in disgust? I don't know. Anyway, David Nivenhazen, do the value-added stakes incentives still stand up? Will the juveniles be extended into 3-year-olds' career? Well, George says yes. I'm not sure that they're going to put them into the 3-year-old careers. It will be very interesting to see what Bloodstock South Africa decide, because it is a Bloodstock South Africa initiative, and they put up the money. I know that what's happened is when you bought the horses, you put in a fee in a fund, so it should carry on until that fund is depleted till nil. But it's the same with the with the carryover pools. Who the hell knows what they're going to do with all the bloody carryovers? No one knows. Frank, how's it? Nice to have you on, but we're nearly finished. We're going to call it a day. Any questions out there? And it's been a great show, because it's good to chat about carryovers and what should happen with them. I have some beliefs and some ideas, and hopefully one day someone will listen to some of the people that have got something to say for themselves. Who knows? Anyway, we look forward to hopefully getting the answer tonight and see exactly what happens as far as racing is concerned. My belief is 1st of June. It's so long since we had this lockdown. I'm a bit moggy. 1st of June, we're going to have some fun. Hopefully, we'll be able to get back on the race course. And I really hope this happens. That the 1st of June, the first race meeting we can have, I think it's on the 2nd of June, but they have a race meeting if they can in Kimberley the first week they're able to, and they should have a race meeting for the Kimberley guys every single week. They really need to race those guys. You're now going to 3 lockdown. You're going to be able to travel by car. You're going to be able to get a permit. You're going to be able to fly to work. And there you go. Budgie, top class. You're right, George. He's a fantastic guy. How did the exotic bets PA Pick 6 in the old days work with the carryovers when there was no fracture? Greg, what happened with exotics? Very, very simple. The exotics used to go to the next meeting. Okay, and if Newmarket had it, would go to the next Newmarket meeting or next Turfney meeting or whatever. But you knew that carryover was going on to the next meeting. Today, it's a bun fight. They do what they like with the money. What happened to the last leg of the Triple Crown? The American Triple Crown, they haven't decided when they're going to run the Belmont Stakes, but they've certainly set out the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, which is the second leg. And Black Swan, nice to have you here. What happened to Grant? Nice having you on the line as well. Any other questions before we close off? Because we're going to close off and then put this open to people online. They're going to be able to watch it. But thank you so much for all of your input and your joining me. I hope you have a great weekend. And let's hope tonight we get the go-ahead. That's what we're all waiting for. We would like to race. Kimberley meetings every week until further notice. Joe, you and I are talking from the same page, and we understand what those guys are going through. I think that it really is very, very difficult for them. And my thoughts go out to them. I know there's been a thing for the jockeys, and there's some jockeys really deserve some help because they're battling, and they should ask the people that they work for and that they've given all their lives to help them. If they really are battling, there should be people out there to happen. No SA Crown, no, I don't think there is, and summer pudding we don't know about. But it's now summer in England. So, Joe, cheers to you and to Jess again, because Jess is my mate in Joe's Lounge. And all of you out there, have a great week. And one team, one nation, the Springboks. Let's pray that we get some rugby. Have a great one.